A pleasant evening to everyone. Hello to our Facebook and YouTube viewers. We have a lot of our participants here already. We have from Ilocos, from Olongapo, actually from different schools. We even have from Mindanao State University, Bataan Heroes College. We have participants from Laguna, Taguig City, and we also have from Cavite, Lyceum of the Philippines, University Cavite. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the StackLeague UXPH Tech Session, Web Accessibility Done Right, Common Design Gaps, and How to Fix Them. I am Casey, and I will be your host for tonight's event. So, I would like to remind everyone that if you have any questions about the session, you can type them in the comment section so we can address them later at the Q&A session. And also, before we dive into tonight's session, we would like to give you an overview of Stack League. We have King Bartolome of Stack League with us today, and he will help me with this one. Take it away, King.
All right. So thank you, Casey. Good evening, everyone. Again, I am King, and I will be sharing with you a quick overview of Stack League, especially if it's your first time to join a Stack League event. All right. So moving forward, Stack League is the Philippines' largest online programming league. Our mission is to develop programming leaders that will inspire the nation into coding. So the tournament is powered by StackTrek's fully automated talent analytics and assessment platform. All right, so now in its second competitive year, Stack League is very fortunate enough because it wouldn't be possible without the support of our partners. So we're fortunate to be supported by the top companies in the industry. We have silver sponsor, the Coding Chiefs, and bronze sponsors. We have Microsoft, Dell Tech Systems, Apper.ph, Recruit Day, and Gcash. Also, we have our media partners. We have with SparkUp, Apps Gadget, What's Up Pilipinas, Corner Magazine PH, Android Desk, Megabytes, Backend News, Blue Wing, and Manila Republic. Of course, the same goes for our community partners who help the league reach as many programmers in the country as possible. So here they are. All right. So this pioneering programming league was launched last year of March 16 of 2021 and is now gathering over 10,000 tech talents across the country to test their leadership, perseverance, and coding skills with the promise of nationwide media recognition, lots of prizes, thousands of tech job opportunities, and of course, access to invitation-only events. The league's year-round cash prize pool is now at 10 million pesos, and it's in the duration of the whole competition itself. So moving forward, one of the highlights of Stack League is the weekly stack race or weekly race for both individual and team categories. So each week, the top 10 challengers and the top 3 teams are announced on all across Stack League's social media platforms to recognize the challengers who stayed on top of the rankings. Of course, apart from this, we also have the Stock League featured programmer and team campaign. So the weekly top 10 challengers and top 3 teams are going to be featured on Stack League's website and our social media channels. So here's how it looks like in our website. Okay, so moving on, StackLeague will also be hosting numerous tech and career sessions all throughout the year. So aside from this, we also have an exclusive trainings available for ranking up to the next challenger level. So these events and trainings are all for free. So the Stack League, moving on, is the Stack League Ambassador program is a year-round initiative to reward Stack League challengers who go beyond the competition and inspire the nation into coding. So to tell you more about the Stack League Ambassador program, here is a short clip for you to see. Okay, so congratulations to Denris Provido for being the Stack League ambassador for April. So winning the 3,000 cash prize and Stack League t-shirt. So if you want to be the next Stack League ambassador and win the cash prize and t-shirt, the program is still, I think it's would be the last week or next week would be the last week of ambassador for May. So you can find the full mechanics at our website or you can go to bit.ly/StackLeagueAmbassador 2022. All right, so moving forward with the ranking system and our um, supported programming league, languages in the league. So we have with JavaScript, Java, Python, C Sharp, and PHP. And for our ranking, this is how it works. So after signing up, you will start at the bottom with 0 points, and all you need to do is solve as many problems or as many challenges as you can, and you will earn corresponding points. So the more points you earn, the higher your ranking goes. And once you accumulated enough points, you can now get to the next level challenges where more opportunities are unlocked for you to access. So of course, there are three challenger levels in this league. We have bronze, silver, and gold levels. So the new thing for this year's challenger level up is the prizes. So once you unlock bronze level, you will receive 100 pesos, and unlock silver level, you will receive another 100 pesos, and after you unlock the gold level, you will earn 300 pesos for a total of 500 pesos. Okay, so there you go. There is also this Stack League Treasure Chest available for individual category, where in the weekly top 10, challengers will each receive 500 pesos cash prize. Okay, so and of course, we also have the what is this? We also have the Stack League Playoffs third monthly qualifier round coming up fast this Saturday, May 28th at 10 a.m. And of course, we have the Stack League Playoffs. It's a single elimination tournament featuring all monthly qualifiers, where all weekly top 10 Stack League challengers will automatically be invited to the monthly qualifier rounds. And you can read the mechanics at bit.ly/Stack League Playoffs 2022. So to know more, here is another clip for you to see. All right. So, lastly, if you're interested in testing your skill in a time-bound programming competition such as Stack League playoffs, but couldn't get in the weekly top 10, you to get invited. The Lightning series is open to all non-gold level challengers to get invited to the next week's silver category. Unlock silver level now, and the Zoom link will be sent to you. And you can find the mechanics at bit.ly/lightning series mechanics or as shown on your screens. All right, and I think that's it for the overview of Stack League. And remember that as much as you think you are late to join the league, the competition is year-round tournament, and Stack League is looking for best challengers that can stay up in the ranks and become programming leaders for the long haul. That's all on my end. Back to you, Casey.
Thank you very much, King, for giving a short introduction of Stack League. Now, let's not delay any further. All right. So, User Experience Philippines, or UXPH, is a Filipino nonprofit organization that hosts the largest network of design professionals, enthusiasts, and students in the Philippines. Since 2012, the community has been building towards a more mature, collaborative, and design driven country through hosting online and offline community initiatives, conferences, and programs within local design and technology communities. Our resource speaker is an instructor and researcher and a disability rights advocate focusing on technology and digital accessibility. She teaches fundamentals of ICT and web technologies to undergrad students at the local University of Muntinlupa. She's also a postgraduate student taking up masters in information technology and working towards a research on web accessibility. She volunteers as a researcher at User Experience Philippines to know more about the field closest to accessibility and universal design. As a person with disabilities herself, she advocates for digital accessibility through speaking to different organizations and communities about the impact of accessibility on the digital space. Let's give a warm welcome to Beverly Bravo. Hi, Beverly.
Hello, Cassie.
There you go. All right, you can go ahead.
Okay, so good evening. I guess this is a good evening already. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. I can see that people are all over the Philippines. So, hello, everyone. Thank you for spending your Wednesday evening with me to learn more about accessibility. So, today, my presentation would be about accessibility done right, common design gaps, and how to fix them. So I know Cassie had already introduced me, but a bit more about me. As mentioned earlier, I am an IT instructor from the Pamantasan and Lungsod ng Muntinlupa. I am also an IT trainer and web accessibility auditor from Atrieve IT Center for the Visually Impaired. So Atrieve IT Center for the Visually Impaired is a non-profit organization that empowers visually impaired through the use of technology. I am also, as mentioned, a volunteer from UXPH, and I am also a digital accessibility advocate. And by night, I am a K drama fan. So that's all about me. Today we'll be covering the following. So I prepared two parts of my presentation. First off is a bit of an introduction about accessibility. So before we actually solve the common design problems, we have to know what accessibility is. So that's the first part. The second part is the gaps that we have to solve. So I have prepared 6 points and practical solutions for each one. So I guess we could start. All right. So first question is what is accessibility? So accessibility, to simply put it, happens when products and services are or can be used by the widest range of audience possible. So let's put it into context. So in digital accessibility, it means that websites, e-documents, and other digital products can be used by all types of people, regardless of ability and disability. So there's a common misconception that digital accessibility is for disabled people. So by the way, don't be offended by the word disabled. I know disabled has a negative connotation for most people, but it's an acceptable term to the community or to the disability sector. So yeah, but come to think of it, all of us, as morbid as it may sound, can be disabled at one point. So when we think of disability let's think of disability in a different way. So let's look at this way. Disability or people are disabled more so by the environment or their environment than their physical limitation itself. So when we look at disability this way, I have here a diagram or a photo from Microsoft's accessibility kit. We have three types of disability. We have permanent, we have situational, and we have temporary. So when we say permanent, for example, in the photo, you can see um, a person who only has one arm. So that's permanent. When we say temporary, for example, you um, got into an accident and you can temporarily use your arm. So that's temporary and situational. So the example here is actually a parent who's holding a baby, or Another example is when, for example, you're in a grocery store and you have a lot of bags on your hands. I mean, both hands are occupied, and suddenly someone calls you. So at that moment, you're considered disabled, not because your arm is not functional or is not working, but because you are, or the situation doesn't allow you to use your arm. Another example is when you're um, at a bar, for example. Um, Obviously, the music is so loud. Then again, someone calls you. So at that moment, you can barely hear um, the person on the other line. So at that moment, you're considered disabled, not because your ears are not working, but because the situation again doesn't allow you to hear anything. So if we look at disability in this perspective, all of us can be disabled at some point. So what I'm trying to say is that digital accessibility is for all types of people. Okay. Okay. So now that we are on the same page about digital accessibility and who is it for, let's proceed to the main part of my presentation, which is the common design gaps. So I have prepared the most common or six design gaps that I actually often see when I do accessibility auditing. So as I mentioned, I also work for a Thrive IT Center for the Blind where I do web auditing, meaning we test websites, applications, and other digital applications if it's actually accessible for all types of people, not just for visually impaired people, but all types of disabilities. So first off, listed here, poor color contrast, inappropriate use of color. We have lack of image description. We have um, we have unlabeled links. We also have improper use of headings, and lastly, we have misuse of semantic elements. So I'm not sure of all your backgrounds in programming, but basically, this is very general. We're not going to go into the super technical stuff. So don't worry about it. Okay, so let's start with the first one. So first one is the poor color contrast. Actually, this issue actually surprised me because I haven't met a web designer, an actual web designer who is a visually impaired, or at least not yet. And I cannot understand why this issue is still present in most websites or in the websites that we're auditing. So let's say I have here two shapes. This is the first one. This is an example of a bad contrast. So on the slide, you can see a circle with a text at the center written in white. So when you for example, you translate it into a black and white format, or you apply a black and white format, this is actually barely readable. And also when you're outside, for example, in an extreme sunlight or exposed to extreme sunlight, you can barely read the text. So on the contrary, here is a good example of a color contrast. I have also a circle, an orange circle with the text good at the center. So actually, you don't have to worry about what they call this. You don't have to worry about the measurement or the ratio of the background and the foreground because we have tools for that. So I have here um, three websites that you can actually take note of. So you can actually take a screen grab of this or list it down or take note of this so you can visit this anytime. But let me show you um, an example. So let's have the first one. So the first one here is uh, okay. We have the web aim, I think. The first one is the web aim. Yeah. Okay. So let me unshare my screen for a bit and share my browser. Okay, sige. Give me a sec for that. So let me share my browser for you to see it. Okay, wait lang. Okay, so I'm gonna share my Microsoft Edge. Okay, so here. So as you can see, this is a webm. Oh, I'm sorry. My computer is on high contrast. So yeah, it's actually for accessibility purposes. So for the background of everyone, um, I'm not sure if it's yeah, Cassie already mentioned it. I'm a visually impaired and I'm considered low vision. Contrary to most to the beliefs of most people, when we say blind or visually impaired, it's not automatically total blind. So I'm a low vision, meaning I still have a bit of sight, a functional sight at that. So I use magnification software and screen reader, which you'll hear a bit later. So here is the website of WebAIM. So I'm sure when you choose color for your websites, you probably know the hex value of each color. So you just have to input it here and it will automatically compute if it passes the double A standard of web content accessibility guideline. So by the way, web content accessibility guideline is an internationally recognized guidelines in web accessibility. So that's web content accessibility guideline. So the latest version is 2.2. You can check it out at W3 schools or W3C if you want to know more about that. So, yeah, that's one example of a contrast ratio calculator. So, the standard based on the web content accessibility guidelines 2.1, it's 4.5 to 1 when the text is in a normal font size. But yeah, no worries about the calculations because the tool will do it for you. Okay, sige. Let me unshare that again and reshare my slides. Okay. So, our next issue, okay, there you go. Yeah. Our next issue would be um, improper use of colors. So first off, let me ask you a question. So on the screen, you can see two buttons. On the left is a red button with the word stop, and on the right is a green button with the word go. So let me ask for a bit of your participation. So do you think are these buttons accessible? Do you consider these two buttons accessible? Yes or no? Sige, let's wait a bit for the answers. What do you think? Do you consider these two buttons accessible or not? And perhaps you could explain a bit why. Why do you think it's not accessible or why do you think it's accessible? Okay. I can see mostly yes. Yes. Okay, sige. Let's have countdown. Five, four, three, two, one. So most of the answers, or I think all of the answers, are yes, and it is, or they are. These buttons are actually accessible. So this is a good example of using colors because the buttons are not dependent to the colors itself. So when we remove the colors, so you can still understand that this button is for stop and this button is for go. So, okay, thank you for that. Another example of improper use of colors is when it comes to forms. I know you're all familiar with forms about when we register for a specific website, Facebook, Google, we have forms. And there are developers who actually uses colors as the only keyword on the only indication of error. So, how about those people who are considered colorblind? So, um, it's not accessible for them. And for people like me who is a visually impaired and who's using a screen reader, so we cannot tell by just the color um, of where the error actually is. So when you create forms or any types of contents on media or on the web, you should not solely rely on colors. Of course, colors are very important in design, but we should use colors wisely. So yeah, okay. Off to the next topic, or the next issue is the lack of image description. So we have what we call alt text or alternative text, which is just basically a piece of text that describes what's in the photo. So I actually have here a challenge for you. So it's an image description challenge. So I'll show a series of photos, and all you have to do is describe what you see. So describe it to me. What can you see on the photo? So let's have the first one. Okay. So I have here a photo on the right side of the screen. So what can you see on the photo? Can you describe it? Sige, let's wait for like 10 to 15 seconds for the audience to answer. So what can you see on the photo? All you have to do is just describe it as you see it. Okay. Guy with a headphones. Okay, a man with a headphone. Okay, sige. Let's have man enjoying music. Okay, good. Sige, let's have, yeah, okay. A man with headphones. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so let's reveal the answer. The answer is actually a man wearing headphones. So, um, all of your answers, if we come to think of it, are all correct. But um, we have to remember, in describing a photo, you only have to describe what you see. So keyword emphasis on the word see. So we can never tell if um, this man here is actually listening to music, or if he's reading an audiobook, or if he's talking to someone or listening to someone from the other line. So we can never tell. So all you have to do is describe what you see. Okay. So next up, what can you see on the second photo? Okay. Sige. So another photo on the right side of the screen. Oh, I can see answers from the previous photo. Okay. A woman holding flowers. Okay, good. Girl holding sunflower. Oh, that's pretty specific. Okay, woman holding a sunflower in the, yeah. Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. So let's reveal the answer. Okay. So it's a woman smiling. Please correct me if I'm wrong. You're the one seeing the photo. So it's a woman smiling, holding a bouquet of flowers. So yeah, ngayon ko nalaman na she's holding a sunflower. You could also indicate that. So that's also correct. And what else do we have? Oh, you're good at describing photos. A woman holding a bouquet of sunflowers. Yeah. All right. Let's proceed to the last one. So last na to. I'm not sure if you can see it properly. I think the text is a bit small. Yeah. So it's a photo with a text. So how would you describe that photo? Yeah, it's one of those corny pickup lines. Okay. Let's wait for, okay, a pickup line. A pickup line. Okay. A cheesy pickup line. Yeah. Agree. Okay. pickup line about keyboard. Sige, let's have last one. Okay. A corny pickup line. Super agree with you. But imagine that you would describe it to someone who cannot see. So when we say a corny pickup line, what does that mean? So corny is um, a vague descriptor. So the way to describe photos like this is here. So it's a black text on a white background that says, "Are you a keyboard? Because you are my type." Okay, I know it's a corny pickup line, but yeah. So that's how you will describe a photo with an image. All right. Okay. So here are a few reminders on how we can better um, describe photos. First, keep it short and simple. So, kasi basically we have two reasons why we insert images or any visual content onto our website or digital content. So, first is for aesthetics purposes, for decorative, and second is to add additional information. So, only describe what's necessary. So, keep it short and simple. And no need for you to say or to type an image of blah 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 or a picture of blah blah blah. Except for screenshot or screen grab, you can mention that it's a screen grab. But for your typical types of photos, you can just say direct to the point. So a black text on a white background that says blah blah blah, or a woman smiling holding a bouquet of sunflower. So you can put it directly. So another thing is, this is very important. Um, Describe what you see, not what you think you see. So, like on our first image, the man wearing his headphone. So as I mentioned, we cannot really tell if what he's or if he's actually listening to something. So, we only have to describe what we see. So, in short, don't assume otherwise. So, yeah. Okay. So, I hope you're taking notes. I know it's a bit a lot. Next one is unlabeled links. So, unlabeled links. So, links, there is a key characteristic of a link. A link must always be descriptive. So, let's say here, for example, I have here an incorrect and correct use of link. So incorrect use, I have here a bunch of, or this is a URL with a bunch of letters and numbers that doesn't really make any sense. So that is an incorrect way of using links. You can actually um, edit that to, for example, here, the purpose of the link is to submit an accessibility issue. So in that way, your user will know that this link is for that purpose. So um, for us, for people like me who's visually impaired and who's using a screen reader. So by the way, a screen reader is a software that provides spoken feedback. Screen reader is a built-in software, so you already have that on your Windows PC or on your Mac and even on your phone. So actually, you have we have a built-in screen reader, or screen reader is actually a built-in software on also on mobile phones. So, for example, when we're doing for example, we're doing online shopping. So before, the old design of Shopee and Lazada is they have a bunch of, or they have that buy now button or check in button or check out. Not sure, but there's this button in every item. So um, if all of those links are the same, and for people like me who's using a screen reader, we cannot really tell which product are we going to buy by just browsing by, for example, by buttons or by links. I'll demonstrate that later on, so you'll appreciate that more later. But yeah, there's this what we call a single letter navigation when we're navigating through the web. So for example, for links, we have to press letter K to jump through links. We have to press letter H to jump through headings. So, okay, let's proceed first with the other issue before I proceed with the demonstration, another demonstration. So next up is improper use of headings. So we all know, as you know, IT students, or if you're a UX designer, UX researcher, that um, there's one thing that is common to all of us as users of the internet is we do not we actually don't read the whole article. So for example, when we want, or when we're searching for something, we don't actually read the whole article. So what do? We scan or skim. So, and it's very hard to skim when um the article is super long and it's not divided into chunks or into what we call headings. So headings, most or another misconception about headings is that they use for aesthetics purposes, but it's actually not. Headings are used for structure. So we use heading level 1 mostly for the title. We use heading level 2 for the subtitles, heading level 3 for the subtopic under heading level 2, and so on. So there's this what we call hierarchy. And let me show you that through I have here two websites that we'll be using. Okay, I'm gonna share my browser again. Okay, okay, okay. So give me a sec. So I have here, let's have the second one. Oh, wait. Hindi sumusunod yung kanyang, wait lang, let me, there you go. So here is an example of a website. Okay, there you go. I think it's already reflected on the screen. So that is an example of a website where we can see the application of headings. So let me activate my screen reader. So my screen reader is called Non-Visual Desktop Access, or NVDA. So it's an open source screen reader. Okay, I hope you can hear it now. Okay, so that is my screen reader. So how do visually impaired people navigate the web? So as I mentioned earlier, we have what we call a single letter navigation. So for each element on the web, we have a corresponding key for it. So for example, let's jump into headings. So let's demonstrate how heading works. So for you, sighted people, that's what we call people with 20/20 vision. So for sighted people, what you do is just scroll down with your mouse. So how about us who's using a screen reader? So let's jump from one heading to another. So I'm gonna press letter H. Okay, we have accessibility links. Okay, so the main or the title of this article is how to design for accessibility. Okay, okay. Why design for accessibility? Heading level 2, meaning that heading level 2 is under that title. Okay. Getting started, heading level 2. Okay, and I think my screen reader is not following the cursor, but yeah. So what I do is I just kept pressing letter H for me to jump from one heading to another. So in that way, am able to navigate or skim or scan through that article. So hindi na namin kailangan mag-scroll. So, but visually impaired people can also use mouse, especially for low vision users, and even totally blind users who's very a bit technical onto how to use the mouse using a screen reader, but it's actually possible. So, yeah, medyo hindi siya sumusunod sa cursor, but it's actually jumping from one heading to another. So this is a whole article from BBC, who's divided into headings. So yeah, that's how heading works. And headings, you should use it properly. So headings, if you want to use it for aesthetic purposes, please don't. We have CSS for that. So okay, okay, let's turn off my screen reader now and go back to my presentation. So that's how single navigation works. So if all of your elements in your website is properly marked, um, all types of users, including us who's using a screen reader, can actually navigate through that website. Okay, there you go. Okay, next one. So we have misuse of semantic elements. So for those of you who are familiar with HTML, hypertext markup language, it's the language of the web. It's the language that we use to create dynamic websites or to create the structure of the website. So in the latest version of HTML, which is HTML5, um, semantic elements are emphasized. So in HTML5, we already have, for example, in navigation, we have a navigation tag, we have an aside tag for the side articles, or if you have a side navigation, body for the main content. We also have article, and we also have footer. So the same way that I did with headings, we can actually or screen reader users can actually jump from one landmark to another. So for example, when we press letter D, D as in delta, so we jump from one landmark. So in that way, we have a better understanding of the structure of the website, so that makes it more accessible. Okay. So actually those are the six common design gaps that I've encountered as my work as an accessibility auditor. There are still other issues to tackle, but yeah, for the sake of time, so let's proceed with the other tips on how we can better create a more accessible digital products or websites for our intended users. Okay, so I have here three tips that I always say this to all of my speaking engagements. First one, we have start early, we have start small, and lastly, take it one step at a time. So when I say start early, so accessibility should not be an afterthought. So the later we start on implementing accessibility, the heavier the tree that we have to carry. So we have to integrate accessibility even before we create the actual website or the prod or the actual digital product. So it involves you can do a research on how persons with disabilities use the web. You can reach out to people. So yeah, you'll be carrying a lighter tree if you integrate accessibility as early as possible. But at that, para di na tayo mag-carry ng tree, why not? Why not plant the seed? So, um, para hindi na tayo din to lower the cost, the operational cost, the resources, 'di ba? Yung mga resources na ma-allot natin from for example, someone would tell you na, oh, your website is not accessible. So, and nagawa mo na siya. So it will definitely cost another resource on the company's part, 'di ba? And ikaw then as a human resource or who's the developer of the website or the product. So, uulitin mo na naman siya or magtitweak ka na naman. And we all know as programmers that it's really hard to, integrate accessibility kapag medyo late na siya. So, why not integrate mo na siya early on pa lang during research, diba? During user testing, try user testing for all types of people. Yan. Implement lang natin yung diversity when it comes to user testing. So, another tip is for you to start small. So, don't overwhelm yourself. Selves. I know we've tackled a lot today of the common gaps that we have to fix in web accessibility, but all of the resources are actually um, available online. So, and there are a lot of organizations that you can, reach out to, partner with. First off is for you to actually pick a specific topic. So, for example, I've you want to learn about image descriptions because there's still a lot to learn about image description. Even I, as a web accessibility auditor, I'm still learning about accessibility, especially with other types of disabilities, because I can only speak for visually impaired people like me, but how about other disabilities? So there are still a lot of things to learn. So yeah, just pick a specific topic that you like about accessibility. So if you're into games, why not do a research on how to create a more accessible games for the blind. And yes, visually impaired people or blind people can actually play games. So that's another topic entirely. So another one is to actually do your research. So we have at Atrieve, um, different universities are reaching out to us. They want us to check their apps or their website if it's accessible for persons with visual impairment, and we really appreciate really the thought, but it's really hard to tweak, as I mentioned earlier, the website or the product if it's already made. So what we always tell to students who are doing their theses is to actually talk to their target participants or target users first before actually creating the product. Kasi 'di ba gano'n naman 'yun. Pag when we make a certain project or we want to solve a specific problem, we have to know the problem first. So you have to actually, my third point is to reach out to people because there are actually a lot of organizations and people that is willing to help to make your products and or especially your digital products more accessible. Especially during the pandemic, it became evident that digital accessibility is not just or it should not be an afterthought. It's a need. So doon natin mas naging nakita yung effect ng um, okay, ng digital or inaccessibility ng mga digital products. So, yeah. And lastly, take it one step at a time. As I mentioned earlier, I actually myself is still studying about accessibility. So take it one step at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself by all of those technical stuff, all of those terminologies. Because as long as you have the willingness to actually make your products, especially your digital products, more accessible for persons with all types of disabilities and abilities, that's already a big thing. So before I end with my presentation, I would just want to leave you with this. So, accessibility is not an attribute. So, it's a mindset. So, if a product is not accessible, what you actually do, the opposite of accessibility is exclusion. And no one wants to be excluded from anything. So, 'di ba yan nga yung sa hierarchy, 'di ba sa Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we want to belong and all of us deserves to be included. So that also applies to technology because actually, especially persons with disabilities as a marginalized sector, we also want to access the same rights, the same opportunities as you. So yeah, that is it for my presentation. But before we proceed with the Q&A, there's actually a video on the organization that I'm working with, which is Atrieve, on one of our campaign on digital accessibility. So let's watch that video.
Kumusta?
Okay.
Kumusta, mga ka-Atrieve? Akalain mo yun? 27 taon na pala tayo. Ang dami na nating napagdaanan, nasubukan, at masasabi nating mga napatunayan.
A group of blind computer enthusiasts put up Achieve way back 1994. Achieve makes use of assistive technology so that blind and sight-impaired individuals will have access to higher education and mainstream employment. In 2004, Achieve started catering to other disabilities, empowering hundreds and thousands of people.
At ito, andito tayo para isulong ang teknolohiya at oportunidad para sa lahat. May kapansanan man o wala. Akalain mo yun, sa kabila ng lahat ng ating pinagdadaanan, ang layo na ng ating narating. Marami rin tayong mga naging kaibigan sa ating paglalakbay. Mga taong handang tumulong sa atin, at mga taong kailangan nating tulungan. Akalain mo yun? Kaya pala natin. Basta, tulong-tulong. Basta't nananatiling matibay ang ating mga loob. Basta't magkakasama tayo. At kami ay nagpapasalamat sa inyong walang sawang pagsuporta. Nariyan ka. Na naniniwala sa aming kakayanan. Nariyan ka. Nakasama namin sa pakikipagsapalaran. At simula pa lang ito, marami pa tayong pwedeng magawa. Ngayong taon, ilulunsad natin ang Accessible Bayan. Nilalayon itong mas madaming persons with disabilities ang makagamit ng mga accessible website at app. Sa Accessible Bayan, mas maraming may kapansanan ang makakasama sa pagbabago ng teknolohiya, lalo na't ngayong pandemya. Kaya tuloy-tuloy pa tayo, mga ka-Atrieve. Dahil akalain mo yun? Di tayo bibitiw. Hanggang sa mga susunod pang mga dekada. Para sa dagdag kaalaman, bisitahin ang atrieve.org/accessiblebayan.
With technology, Atrieve can continue to create vision beyond sight.
Okay, thank you for that. So that's actually our social media campaign on digital accessibility. It's called Accessible Bayan. So we actually produced two videos already on the basics of inclusive design and web accessibility. So you can check it out at the official YouTube channel of Atrieve. So ATRIEV. You can search it on YouTube. And you can actually sign the petition on atrieve.org/accessiblebayan. So thank you so much in advance for your help. It would truly mean a lot for all of us, especially for persons with disabilities. So for us to make a more inclusive society. So yeah, I'm willing now to entertain questions.
All right, there we go. Thank you so much, Beverly, for that very enlightening and informative presentation. So, knowing that many of our participants and viewers here are from various types of courses that involve technology, this was very insightful. Can I have a quick request though, Beverly, before we proceed to the most exciting part? So, a while ago, I think the screen reader was
Oh,
not heard. So if we can have that again, we had
oh,
one of the
okay.
comments said that it was not heard. So maybe the audio was not shared.
Okay, let me check that.
All right, thank you.
Can you hear
While we,
anything? No? You can still
no,
no. Okay, so again, let
not
me
yet.
try that again. Okay.
StreamYard
How about
document,
now?
clickable ban,
Yep, yep, that was heard.
slide
Okay. So I'm sure you can hear, yeah, as I mentioned, that's
StreamYard document.
NVDA,
Visited link
non-visual
graphics
desktop
StreamYard logo.
access.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Reed. I think pangalan niya si Reed. So one of the TTS or Eloquence. So ito yung pinarinig ko kanina. Sorry, hindi pala siya naririnig kanina. So can I share my browser again, Cassie, if you don't mind?
Sure, sure, of course.
Very quick lang.
Mm-hmm.
StreamYard
Thanks.
document.
Okay.
Visited link graphics stream list with 4 items.
Okay.
Share
Share ko
screen
lang
but
ulit yung
clickable share
browser
screen
ko para
button.
matry natin
Choose
yung
what to
single
share
letter
dialog.
navigation.
StreamYard.com wants to share the
Okay.
contents of
So
your
very quick
screen.
lang. Yan. Medyo maingay siya, I'm sure. Maingay talaga siya. Because screen
PPC
readers work that way. So, yeah. I have here, for example, I'm gonna press letter H for headings.
Clickable BBs how to
So,
design
yeah.
for accessibility heading level 1.
So, yan. Binasa niya na yung heading level 1.
App bar
Oh,
tool
wait.
B
Okay.
H
Let's try that
H
again. Hindi siya masyadong sumusunod ngayon. Pero, yeah.
H
So when we press for
BPC
each
gel
type
how
of
to
element,
design
you
for
the
accessibility
screen reader
document
actually
heading
reads
level 1
the. For
how to
example, we
design
press
for
letter K for
accessibility
links,
list with 2 items Pratt Richens
so it
navigation
jumps from
landmark
one
list
link to
with getting
another.
started key considerations link annotating wireframes and user testing link.
So ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. For example, yung lumang layout nga ng Lazada and Shopee before, yung meron silang puro buttons na buy now for each item. So kapag nagja-jump kami from for example, buttons by buttons or by links, hindi agad nalalaman ng visually impaired kung saang product siya nakatapat. So what you can do with that kind of situation is that actually specify kunwari, by the yung pangalan ng specific product para mas maging descriptive siya. Kasi yun nga, we jump from several elements. So same thing with images pala. Let's try images. I'm not sure kung
An
merong graphic
illustration
dito.
of 3 devices
Oh yeah,
representing
there is.
accessible content
Okay.
graphic. No
There
next
are
graphic.
graphics here. So, pag nag-jump naman ako from one graphic to another, ang babasahin niya doon ay yung alternative text.
No next
So,
graphic.
alternative text is something that you cannot see or cannot be seen by the naked eye. Yung counterpart niya na nakikita natin is
StreamYard.
yung what we call caption. Ayan. So, para siyang caption, pero screen reader lang yung nakakabasa. So, yeah, I think that's it.
StreamYard document out of list with
Okay.
10 items non-assign 7 p.m. Why is it important to
All right. Wow. Okay. So I guess that is for the screen
select
reader. All
audio
right.
track 1 virtual
Okay, there you go. So thank you so much, Bev, for playing that one again. So there you have it. From our participants, that's basically how it will work. All right. So now we can proceed with the most exciting part of our session. We are opening the floor for questions from our participants. So we have one question here. It's a general question, but let's tackle this one as well to understand more. Okay, we have from Nana C. The question is, why is it important to understand common design gaps and how to also fix them?
Okay, thank you for that question.
Mm-mm.
So that's basically the reason why I'm here. So, um, why I wanted to discuss about the common design gaps. So, the gaps or the issues that I've actually talked about earlier are the easiest ones to solve. So, yun siya yung pinaka-common, pero siya din yung pinaka-madaling i-solve when it comes to web development. So, for example, yung alternative text or yung lack of image description. So, kapag gumagamit kayo ng what we call CMS, yung content management system, like WordPress or before Joomla. So, meron na dong built-in. When you upload a photo, there's this field there that you can fill out. So, alternative text din yung pangalan nun. Or description. If it's not alternative text, baka description yung nakasulat doon. So, okay na maintindihan natin yung common design gaps para una, nasa-solve na natin siya. And pangalawa, hindi na tayo dumaan doon sa phase na yun nga, tapos na yung system or tapos na yung website bago pa natin siya i-integrate. So I think yeah.
All right, so there. I have my mic on mute. So anyway, that is I agree with that one. So it's very important to, you've mentioned earlier to start early. So before you really launch
Mhm.
everything, it's
Yes.
important to consider these gaps in order to, save yourself from more challenges
Yeah.
in the future.
Yes,
All
extra
right.
work basically
Yeah,
and extra
extra work.
cost.
Yes, that's right. Okay, thank you so much, Nana, for that question. We also have here another question from our YouTube viewer. How does the process of meeting the requirements of passing a good web accessibility go? So I think he is asking, or she is asking, what the entire process is. Do we apply for it, and then what is the entire process for this one?
Okay, okay. That's a very good question. So, siguro let's start with I'll walk you through the process of web auditing. So, we have kasi two types of auditing. We have manual and we have yung coding or yung automated. So, merong mga automated, yun kasi yung pinakamadali, yung automated type of testing. Um, Maraming available nun on the internet. Nasa cloud naman siya lahat. So, all you have to do is test your website there. I-enter mo lang yung URL ng website mo, and then the automated tester or the accessibility checker will audit your website. So, based on the codes lang yon. So, parang surface level lang siya. For example, kung wala kang mga alternative text sa image mo, madedetect niya yun. Or kung may mga unlabeled links ka, madedetect niya yun. Lack of semantic elements, ma-read niya din yon. So, merong mga websites na nagpo-provide ng actually certificate of accessibility kapag nag-test ka dun. So, merong mga free na ganun, meron ding premium. But of course, alam niyo na yan, pag free, very limited lang yung malalagay niyang issue. Sa Philippines kasi so far, wala pa silang pinoprovide ang DICT na parang badge for accessibility. So, the way they regulate accessibility for now, is sa ano pa lang government agencies pa lang, or government websites pa lang through a memorandum before, back in 2017 pa yon. Ayun, isang type ng accessibility checking. The other one is the manual checking. Yun actually yung pinaka-importante kasi may involved na siya na user experience. So, ang ginagawa nun, so ako as a web accessibility auditor, chine-check ko muna, both ko siyang ginagawa, automated and manual. So first, yung automated muna, nilalagay ko sa isang automated checker yung website, and then second phase is for me to actually check the website and verify. And sa usually pag nag-audit kami ng website, we're a team. So, visually impaired, kung merong available na mag-check for deaf people, for people with cognitive disability. So, sinasama namin sila sa team. And then, ayun, we try to test and come up with a comprehensive report. And part din kasi ng process is yung what we call remediation. So, tinutulungan din namin sila. Siyempre, solving this accessibility issues could be overwhelming. So, that's why we guide them through the process. Pero as I mentioned, yung um, what to call this, yung badge or some kind of certificate, hindi pa siya currently present at least dito sa Philippines. Yung meron lang siya, yung mga automated tester lang ang nagbibigay ng some kind of um, certificates. So yeah, I hope I was able to answer the question.
Wow, that was great. Actually, it's good to know that we have, at least we have these processes, right? So, we have the manual one and the automated
Mm-mm.
one. Is it just a follow-up question? Do, let's say, someone owns a website, so they go first with the automated and then with the manual, or is it hand in hand, or just go straight to the manual one?
Kung kasi yung manual may involved na siya na budget. So, kung
Mm.
magi-start pa lang yung company or yung website,
Mm.
kung medyo, small startup pa lang sila, I suggest na dun muna sa automated. Pero of course, sobrang valuable kasi yung makuha data when you do
Mm.
manual testing. Pero for the sake of, cost muna, pwede sila
Mm.
mag-start with automated. And then, ayun, from there, pwede na ring mag-try sila ng manual checking pero it requires research din on their part. So,
Mm.
kasi kami sa Atrieve, yun yung one of the services namin. So, for example, may lumapit na client from a certain company sa org namin. So, we do both types of testing. So, kami na yung gumagawa ng lahat from the automated to the manual and then the report tapos yung remediation part, yung yung pag-i-implement na nung mga changes.
There. Wow, it's good to know that we have one here, at least in the Philippines. We have a tree for this type of process. Okay, thank you very much, Hosh, for that question. We have another one from Kyle Pio De Roda. Yes. In terms of accessibility, what are some tips to simplify a website so it isn't confusing for those with reading and visual impairments? What text to speech software can be embedded in a website?
Okay, parang madaming layers yung question. So, first off, um, when doing an accessible website for persons with visual impairment or let's say persons who are using screen reader. So, kasi hindi lang naman persons with visual impairment ang gumagamit ng screen reader or ng text-to-speech. Yung mga may learning disability like yung mga dyslexic, yan. So, or yung may mga print disabled people, so, gumagamit din sila ng screen reader. So, first off, yung kaninang mga nabanggit ko na gaps, for example, yung use of headings, that's actually a big thing for us na magamit ng proper yung headings kasi it's a way for us to skim the product, the website. So, no need na to actually embed a TTS doon sa website kasi meron na kami nun. So, available na sa end ng mga persons with visual impairment and other yung persons with mga print disabled, yung technology or assistive technology to navigate a website. So, all you have to do is create yung website na accessible siya. Yung meaning, yun nga, meron siya properly na may heading siya, kung may images, lahat ng images ay merong alternative text. So, actually, one thing din, yung i-simplify yung language, siguro. Pero hindi lang siya for visual impaired. For all types of people, actually, di ba? We don't wanna read a bunch of jargons naman sa isang website. And to, you know, ano natin, hatiin natin into smaller chunks, hindi long paragraphs yung content natin. So, also applicable for all types of people. So, basically yon yung assistive technology na part, covered na namin yon. So, yung part na, yung role na lang ng developers is yon to follow yung mga guidelines on accessibility. So, nabanggit ko kanina actually yung document, yung Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. So, you can take note of that. Available din siya online. Pero, even I, medyo ano siya, I'm not sure the right words for it, pero medyo hindi siya ganun ka user-friendly basahin. So, that's why, mas madaming developers na kung ano na yung specific problem ng website, yun na yung sino-search nila. Kasi medyo, it's a technical paper kasi. So, medyo mahaba siya. Pero, it's basically divided into yung four main categories. Yung tinatawag ng POUR, yung POUR, we have first one, perceivable. So, meaning kailangan yung website mo should be um, seen in different ways. Diba? For example, kayo, a sighted people, visual, pwede rin auditory, meaning kailangan na-navigate siya ng screen reader. So, another thing is operable, meaning yung different devices ay magagamit siya. For example, with keyboard, with mouse, with touchscreen devices. Yan. Next one is understandable. Yun naman yung sa part ng kailangan yung language mo is appropriate or um, mababaw lang siya or if may jargon, kailangan may some kind of link to another page or may description siya para malalaman ng user yung meaning nun. And yun yung understandable. More of sa language talaga siya. And siguro ay hindi, sa perceivable pala yung sa fonts na part. And lastly, yung robust, yun naman yung sa mga tinatawag na assistive technology and other user agents. So when we say user agents, yung mga applications na ginagamit natin sa pag-open ng websites like browser, for example, the browser. So it should be your websites, yung at least yung layout ng website mo should be compatible to all types of browsers, which is already ano naman na embedded na sa coding, especially in HTML, yung latest version ng HTML ngayon, available na yung mga um, codes para mas maging accessible siya or maging mas responsive yung layout niya to all types of browsers. So, yun yung pinaka-guidelines. Pwede nyo i-check yun, yung web content accessibility guidelines for your reference.
All
Yeah.
right. So make sure you guys also check out that one. It's available online. The guidelines are available online. Thank you very much. So as much as we want to answer all the questions here, we are taking one last question. This is from Nana C. What is the most common issue or problem you've encountered during digital designing?
Um, you mean yung you mean as um, auditing ba yun? Or sa
Mm.
pagde-develop pa ng website?
In so this one says digital designing. So probably about designing the website itself.
Hmm.
So when you audit it, then after.
Yeah. Siguro yung based sa experience. Kasi before nagde-design din naman ako ng website. So, pinaka-challenging siguro na part is yung balancing between um, yung creating a aesthetically pleasing website to a usable website. Kasi 'di ba people are, most people are visual people, 'di ba? And 90% of communication nangyayari siya visually. So, medyo mahirap i-balance yung pagkakaroon ng, yun nga, aesthetically pleasing website sa pagkakaroon ng accessible website. Um, and especially kapag nag-audit na kami, mas dun ko na din siya na-appreciate nung naging auditor na din ako. Kasi, for example, yung nabanggit ko kanina about headings. Di ba heading level 1, may mga marking kasi yan, di ba? Sa HTML, we have tags for heading. So, H1 for heading level 1, H2 for heading level 2, and so on. So, most of the developers na na-meet namin ng team before is laging nami-misuse yung headings. Ginagamit nila yun na para ma-adjust um, yung font nung specific, for example, yung title nun. So, ginagamit nilang pang-adjust ng font yung heading, which is an improper, yun nga, improper use of heading siya. So, yun lang. I think yung balance between yung good design, pleasing sa eyes, at saka yung sa part ng pagiging actually accessible, which is nami-meet naman talaga. Possible talaga siyang mag-meet halfway as long as yung all throughout the process is i-involve mo din talaga yung people who are actually using your website, diba? Nag-include ka ng, for example, person with disability sa user testing mo or during research, yan, para ma-meet yung gap na yon. So, yeah.
All right. So the balance between form and function. So that's
Yeah,
one of
exactly.
the most
Yes.
common issue. But there is, of course, it's not an impossible feat to accomplish. We already have guidelines, and the key or the goal there really is for inclusivity. All right. Thank you so much for your questions, everyone. Thank you for the very engaging Q&A part. And before we dive into our announcements, is there anything else you want to add, Beverly?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for inviting me here, Stock League. And yun nga, sobrang na-enjoy ko yung Q&A natin. Very insightful yung mga questions. So I hope na mas maging curious pa kayo about accessibility. So if you have questions further, kung gusto niyo pang makipag-usap about accessibility, pwede niyo ako ma-reach through my LinkedIn account. Yan. So, or through Facebook, search nyo lang Beverly Bravo, and I'm sure naman, makita nyo na ako doon. So, yeah, I would love to talk about, especially maraming students dito, di ba?
Mm-mm.
So, if you're working on your thesis, sobrang willing kami na mag-brainstorm. If you're planning, of course, na, yan, integrate. And that would be really appreciated kung integrate nyo talaga yung accessibility early pa lang sa inyong research process. So, yeah, thank you.
There you go. So if you need more details, if you want to continue on this conversation with Bev, you can connect with her sa LinkedIn or sa Facebook. So just search or type there Beverly Bravo. There you have it. So thank you to everyone for your questions. And thank you again, Beverly, for the time and for answering our participants' questions. And of course, for that very insightful presentation. Thank you again. All right, so now let's proceed to our announcements. Here are the upcoming Stack League announcements. So first, since Stack League is one of the initiatives of Stack Trek, we have another opportunity for you guys. So if you want, or if you are interested to launch your software developer career before Christmas with no prior coding knowledge required, you can join the Stack Trek full Stack Bootcamp info session on May 26th. That's tomorrow at 11 a.m. for the first batch. So, and we also have the Department of Information and Communications Technology, or the DICT, is also co hosting with StackTrek an initiative called Code Your Future 40 Minutes Coding Workshop for Non Coders on May 27, Friday at 10 a.m. So that's this Friday as well. Next is we have the Stack League AWS Tech Session Reinventing Your Business with Data on June 1, Wednesday at 6 p.m. And lastly, we have the Stack League Simp Tech Session. What you need to know about REST API and HTTP, and build your first mobile app using React Native in 30 minutes on June 22, Wednesday at 6 p.m. And of course, we're almost halfway through the league. So join the Stack League Mid-Year All-Stars on June 29 at 6 p.m. to celebrate your breakthroughs and small wins. There will also be pop quizzes and freebies and giveaways as well. So there are plenty of opportunities for you to learn here in Stack League. Just go to fb.com/stackleague/events for the registration details and get the latest updates. To help Stack League team improve the sessions for you, you may answer this question form bit.ly/StackLeague sessions feedback, or you can scan the QR code flashed on your screen. And we also have the Stack League Ambassador for May, and we are now accepting entries. So there are a few days left before we announce who the ambassador is for May. So go ahead and earn your ambassador points now. You may visit bit.ly/Stack League Ambassador 2022. All right. And we have here, of course, don't forget to make sure to earn your league points to unlock the challenger levels and receive the prizes. Also, don't forget to check out the Stack League Lightning Series. Visit bit.ly/Lightning Series Mechanics for more info. For all the silver level challengers out there, make sure to register at the Zoom link already. And for those who have yet to unlock the silver level, go ahead and solve challenges now to get the invitation before May 30. And that's all for the announcements. On behalf of the Stack League team, I would like to say thank you to everybody for joining the Stack League UXPH Tech Session, Web Accessibility Done Right, Common Design Gaps, and How to Fix Them. If you don't have a Stack League account yet, make sure to sign up now at stackleague.com, and of course, invite your friends and family who you think should be part of the league. See you guys at the next Stack League event. This has been your host, Casey. Good night, everyone.